So, as we like to talk about football and all of the dramas that come in, and there are parts that I want to talk about: club football, national team football, personal life. Let's start with personal life. Jonathan, some people say you are Isoko, some others say you are Ijo, some others say you are Robo. Where are you really from?
I'm Isoko, born, bred Isoko, but I was born in Lagos. I was born in Ajigule, grew up in Ajigule. Then, fortunately for me, I was my mom's favorite kid, and she insisted. I was the only child that went to school in Lagos.
Oh,
She insisted that I go to Igbobi College. Um, and during that time, we had to qualify to actually make the cut in Igbobi College, which I then did. And Igbobi was very, very important for me. Igbobi actually changed everything for me, changed the way you see life from a Ajegunle point of view. It just carried me into the
a different
world
world.
of different fantasies.
Let's talk about fantasies. Ajegule is seen as the scar of a city like Lagos, the center of excellence. There's Ikoyi, there's VI, there's Surulere, there's Ikeja. But whenever you talk about Ajigule, it's like that's where the rumps of society, the dregs of society are. They never do what the poor people. But that's the Ajigule have produced Jonathan Akpoborie, Emmanuel Amonike, Samson Siasia, Tarala Korowanta, Jidojo Igalo, just to name a few. Quite a lot that places like Ikoyi and the rest have not produced. What's the thing that's special about Ajegule? That in your head, when you look at Ajegule, what's that thing that's special about it, Ajegule?
Well, I think sports. I would say sports in general. Not There are some sports that are very expensive. For example, tennis is
Yeah,
expensive to, or
golf.
golf. But when you say everything sports in Ajegule, football is cheap. It's the cheapest game you can actually play, and the kids in Ajegule they take part in football anywhere. Then you can go on the streets, the Umba street today. Then we used to play street against street on Umba Street. You can't do that today.
Oh,
Orodu and Uzo, you can play on just on the street, but you can't do that today. Agausa too. I grew up in Agausa. I'm from Agausa. Graduated into going to St. Mary's. St. Mary's is still in Umba. The field is still there. Kids still play football there. And I tell you what, the talent you have then in Ajegunle, you still have today. The problem there, um, I used to tell Shay Akinwumi,
former
the
vice president of
former
Nigeria.
yes, I used to tell him that, look, you guys, you've actually renovated most of the pitches in Lagos, but you've not done anything in Ajegunle. But Ajegunle keeps producing players in our national teams, female and male. They should have done something, to even provide more playing space for kids in Ajegunle, because that is where the talent is, and it's still there till tomorrow.
So, private conversations that we have, we always say that Jonathan Akpoborie is one of the most traveled, most educated in terms of eloquency. You speak very well. And in your thought process as well, we've had different conversations. We talk about plans that you have and how you see Nigerian football in terms of development, training of coaches, and all that. Uh, can we get a little deep dive into your family background, your upbringing? How were you raised?
um, I grew up in a family of 8 kids from my mom, and my father was married to 3 wives. Um, like I told you earlier on, I was the favorite kid of my mom. We're 3 boys and 5 girls, and I am second to the last, but last up to a point.
Yeah.
The last one was a girl. Is a girl. She's still alive, and I think I saw her about 3 or 4 days. We used to have a lot of challenges then. When we were still very young, because being the last kid, you get the best part of your parents, but I would get that from my mom, and she would get that from for my dad. So it was always that clash. But it was something I'll say I really enjoyed. Like I said, going to Bobby College was actually a big privilege for me. Um, the only part that I complain about most times would be that that freedom to go and play football, because my mom, even my dad, my family would not want me to play football.
Because back in the day, come on, football is for wayward people.
Exactly. So during the holidays, my mom would always take me to the market. She sells in Balogun market, and I would wonder why she would want me to go to the market with her. I want to go and play football, and she looks at everybody. She has 5 girls, but she would want to carry me to the market. And during the holidays in Ajegunle, then we used to have all these tournaments, these 8 tournaments that you participate in, and I'm getting prepared to go to the field after my mom leaves for the market.
Sure.
But she's like, Johnny, you are the one going to the market with me. I'm like, what? So there was one particular day, I knew she was going to call me, and we had this very important game to play. I went under the bed. And I forgot, and I slept off. She was calling my name the whole time I was sleeping. By the time I woke up, came out, everywhere was empty. She had already gone to the market, and I just tiptoed, went out, and went to play my game. But by the time she came back, my God, it was unbelievable. But the if I played football, it was because I was persistent. Because going to play football, you come back and you are being really, really beaten at home, that you don't go and play football the next day. But that next day, I'm still going out to play football again. Because I got used to the beating, and I'm like, okay, whatever they are going to do, they are
take
going
it for
to
the game.
Yes, so I'll take it for the game. Because you need that rep with your friends that, look, Johnny came and
he did this.
He's better than.
Did you show that skill? Did you see that skill that Johnny showed?
Exactly. So you that one is bigger than any beating,
True.
And that's what happened.
So let's go to. There's always a breaking point, because for me too, I had that growing up. I want to play football. My mom, okay, so my father had 57 children. My mom had 12. Then we became 8 because of some that died. And to my mom's bar is always my dad. My father was a serious education person, engineer, worked in England, worked with the Queen at some point. So to my mom, why would he be a child that would be among all the, when your elder brothers are professors, lecturers in Cambridge? Now your turn, now my turn, now my own. Now me come born the wayward people. That's the feeling. But there's always a breaking point.
Yes.
That point where you now go out, you go and play football, you bring money, and the house is struggling financially, and then your money not change sometimes. This boss, something.
No,
did you ever have that?
No. I think mine was my brother. My brother is late now. He was a professor in the Delta State University, and he was in America then. I remember there was this phone call, my mom made, and she was really complaining because my brother had this influence on all of us. And she was really complaining to him, telling him that all Johnny wants to do is play football. He doesn't even want to do this. He doesn't want to go to school. He wants to play football. So my brother is like, if he wants to play football, let him play football. But he has to go to school though.
Yeah.
And that part, they were trying to prevent me from hearing that part, but I heard. And I was like, And so a few weeks later, I actually sent my first football boot. He sent it from America. So I was like, fantastic. With that boot, I was playing with that boot when it was late. We call him Bros Joe in Lagos State then. It was a reporter, I think, with the Times. he saw me playing with my mates in school, and he now wrote that letter that I should take it to Sebastian Broderick's.
Whoa.
And that was, when I trained with the under 17 for the first time, he looked at me and he said, okay, we want to see you again the next day. I said, okay. So I came, I trained with everybody. And he said, look, what club are you in? Let's write a letter for the club to release it. I said, no, you're not writing to any club. You're writing to my father. I don't have a club. He said, really? I said, yes, I don't have a club. So they wrote the letter for me to give to my dad.
Your suicide letter?
Yes. So when they wrote it, I took the letter home and I was waiting that when would be the best time to give my dad this letter. So I waited until my dad was alone. My dad was retired then from the MPA. So I now waited, me and him, we were at home together, and I gave him the letter. So when I gave him, he read it, and he said, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to the camp? I said, yes. So he said, yeah, that with him, there's no problem, I can go.
Oh.
Before anybody came back home, I was already in camp. Because I knew
your mother comes back.
If they come back, that there was no chance. There was no chance for me to make it. So I had to pack everything that I needed, and I left. So by the time everybody came, he just said, where's Jonathan? He said, Jonathan is in camp. Which camp? National camp. But then there was no social media. There was, partially, you get that small print in the newspaper where, okay, the under 17, they're in camp. So person, nobody knew in Ajigule that I was in camp. In fact, so I think it was after that victory in China when we came back, I was flabbergasted when I saw my mom at the airport, and she was all dressed up in front of so many reporters.
Since the moment.
And she was crying and she was telling them that, look, I didn't know my son was going to play football like this, that I was trying to prevent him from doing what would give him fame. So till today, when I think about it, it's really touching.
So you're one of those who played in the generation where you didn't need to bribe coach, you didn't need to have connection.
No.
But thanks to Bros Joe, I don't know if you still know any of his family members that you reach out to. But beyond that, Jonathan, Bros Joe, whether Joseph or another Jonathan, I don't know. But there's always an angel in anybody's life. From under 17, Julius Badger, and the rest, Germany. No, you went to US first.
I went to America.
You went to America and then came back to Europe. Striboking, right? But
yes.
Let's talk about the Julius Badger first. Because the story I heard was that you were playing in Julius Badger, and first time you came to camp, all the other strikers were bigger than you. And somebody said, this is a story I had, I don't know if it's true. Somebody said, who go carry small pikin come training? They want to kill him. And then you played, and they started laughing the person that said it. Give me that story.
Well, I think when we came back from the under 17, it was very difficult to integrate us into the normal league football in Nigeria, because a lot of people did not see, even after we came back, they did not see that team perform in Nigeria live.
Yeah.
So it was like, yes, and it was like, no, not the time difference now. Playing inside Nigeria as world champions, they did not see us play. They only saw on TV that we were playing live, yes. So by the time we came, it was like, okay, what can they actually do in our league? They've performed outside Nigeria. What can we actually do in our league? So I was really tiny. I was really, when I say really, really tiny, I was really, really tiny. So if you saw me on the pitch, you would be like, what is he going to do?
Go die,
Yes, they will kick this one, they will kill him. So it was that picture the people at Julius Berger had that, all these small children, who will bring them, come here. But we had also, Julius Berger had players that were really skinny. They had Depriative weight that was really skinny then. Nia Dele was chubby, but he was still very young player. Olabi Adebayo was also even thinner than I was, but he was stronger, a little bit older than I was. So training with Julius Berger, you would see that, okay, there was potential. And I was always vulnerable because the physicality of Nigerian football was quite different. But there was an incident that now happened when I was still in Julius Berger. We were playing a friendly game and the opponents kept kicking me. I'll fall down, the referee will blow, and I'll be complaining to the referee. So one incident happened. The opponent kicked me and our defender, we call him Biodun Jenkot, he came to me and he said, Johnny, if they kick you again and you fall down and you are screaming, I will kick you by myself. If they kick you, you have to kick them too. So I said, okay. Then I tried it. And I found out it was that mind game, and I carried that philosophy all through my career, even in Germany. My philosophy was, if you try to intimidate me, do that without touching me.
Yeah.
If you kick me, I will kick you twice.
Cool.
So when I played against the likes of Jürgen Kohler, for example, the first time he touched me with his boots, that was my first Bundesliga game against Dortmund. I told him, I said, if you do it again, I'll kick you twice. He thought I was joking. But then, to my own, to our support, there was no VAR then.
Yeah.
So when he did it again, I kicked him twice. And he said, look at this small rat, he's kicking me. He kicked me again, and I kicked him twice. So he knew, from there he knew, that
this is war, and this boy is not going to take this rubbish.
Yes. So even when the goal I scored in that game, he was very, very far from me, But then as a striker, you don't get nervous that somebody is going to kick you before you control the ball. Because he already knew that if he kicks me, that he too is going to get it. You get injured. Anybody can get injured. It just depends on how sensible the person will kick you. Nobody is stronger than anybody. We all have
flesh and
flesh and blood. Yeah, exactly. So, that was something I learned from Julius Berger, and Julius Berger was one of the biggest teachers that I got in my career, because everything I did at Julius Berger was replicated in Europe. I saw it in Europe, and God bless late Joe Erico, because he used to say, look, what I'm teaching you now, when you go to Europe, you see it. It's the same thing, but we will say, coach, don't come. Don't they give us
not the bubble.
Yes. But by the time I got there was nothing different. That is the difference between then and now in Nigeria.
One of the things that really amazed me about your story, and see, this is going to be very long conversation we're going to have, because there's so many things that I put in the pocket of space, but I just want to go chronologically. You left Julius Berger, you didn't go to Germany straight up. You went to the US. Who leaves Nigeria and go to US? Jonathan.
There's a trick to it. I had to trick my mom. Not necessarily trick. Before we left for the under-20, there's a friend of mine, he's late now, Gani Akoni. Gani convinced me to actually accept the scholarship going to America to study. And when he was telling me, I was like, no. John Okon, the late John Okon was there. And John said, Johnny, it will be very good if you go to school and you are playing football. So I thought about it. I said, well, going to school part will be good for my mom. My mom will not hold me back from going to school. So I said, okay, let me go to school. Then from school, I'll do whatever I want to do. So I started working on it. By the time we came back from the Under-20 World Cup, it was not really good for all of us that went to the World Cup. By the time we came back, everything was ready. So I just took off on scholarship to Brooklyn College.
How was life in Brooklyn? Because I mean, Brooklyn, as we always hear about it, I didn't go to the US until somewhere in the late 90s, and what you live your life for. I'm an adventurous person. I went to the US and I said, "Where's this Harlem that they're talking about? Where's this Brooklyn? Where's this?" I wanted to see all those places.
Brooklyn was
so
fantastic.
for you, how was Brooklyn?
Brooklyn was fantastic. From the first day I got to America, from the first day I got to New York, it was as if they just peeled the lids that were covering my eyes. They just pulled it off. First of all, I used to tell people every time when we complain about the amount of tickets now, how much you buy a ticket going to America for. I bought my ticket with the car loan that Julius Berger gave to me. I didn't ask anybody for £1. But I bought that ticket, Lagos, Amsterdam.
Yeah, Skipper was always a transit point.
Lagos, Amsterdam, New York, Amsterdam, Lagos. I bought for 1,850 naira. A to and fro ticket. That was how Nigeria was then. So getting to New York, I stood at JFK and I was just turning around until my friend picked me up. In fact, we played at the Under-17 together. So when he picked me up at the airport, we had a fantastic summer together. Then, school started. School, of course, comes with the NCAA football tournament. And Brooklyn College they've never won anything.
Jagoda people, they win soccer. They always fight in
soccer before. No, but actually, the college was a Jewish college.
Ah, okay.
And also, it was a really, really good school. I think even till today, Brooklyn College is really good. Filled up with Jews because it's in a Jewish area. And I remember we used to walk, even though we were not allowed to work. The students that are on scholarship,
are
not allowed to work. But we did work. We were in New York anyway, so there were jobs that we could actually do during that time, and we would do those jobs, come back in the morning, sleep, go to class, and in the evening would be training. We did this. I think we were about 7 of us from Nigeria that had played from the Under-17 and the Under-20. 7 national team players. So we would beat everybody. I remember. There was a game we were playing. We were already up by 8 goals in the first half, and our coach was like, "Look, we shouldn't score again. We should just start passing the ball." And that was, I think that was the semi-final of the New York State tournament to qualify for the national championship. So it was a fantastic experience for me, but I wanted more from football. I believed I still had something to give in football.
Yeah.
So from school, I called Samson. They were already in Europe. And I was asking him that if there could be a chance for me to come on trial. My colleagues then in New York were like, "You're leaving America. You're going to Europe. America is the last bus stop." I said, "No, I would not actually feel well if I don't go and do this, So they said, okay. So I went on trial in Belgium. And all they said, okay, the player is good, but he's not fit. Of course, I will not be fit because I'm coming from America. So definitely I will not be fit. So when I went back to America, I just packed everything, came back to Nigeria, started training in Nigeria. Then an opportunity came for me to go to Germany. So I went to Germany.
How did that German opportunity come?
It was through You know, we had some Nigerians that were playing table tennis
Okay.
in Germany. I can't remember the. Oh God, this guy will kill me. I can't remember his name. But there's somebody that was famous then in Nigeria, Olawumi Majokodumi,
Yeah.
the Nigerian champion table tennis. Then there's this guy. He's late now. Are people who are around table tennis, they will know. They were associated with Binemi Numa. Binemi used to play table tennis before, yeah. So he knew all these people. So through him, they now organized for us to go to Germany. You know, and we were in Germany for some time. We couldn't even get a trial until somebody just called one of them and said, "Look, we read you have some footballers with you." And they said, "Yes." They said they are looking for footballers to go and try with FC Saarbrücken because Yeboah was leaving for Frankfurt. Yeah. Yeboah and Suleiman Zane with what's this guy's name now? They were the only 3 people at that time. Tony Baffo.
Oh yeah.
They were the only 3 black people that were playing in the whole Bundesliga at that time in Germany as a whole. So we now went to Saarbrücken. It took 3 days of trial. The coach now said, "Look, he has found somebody that would replace Anthony Yeboah." That was how I got the contract.
So this is the entry into the Bundesliga. I think this is where this conversation started. Everything we've been doing since, we've been joking. Let's talk about the Bundesliga. So you went to Germany with the tennis team. You went to try at Saarbrücken, and it's not as if many Nigerians have blazed a trail here before, so it's not a big deal. I know you played for Julius Berger, who's an extension of a German organization. But then you went there, and it was still the days of the Cold War extension was still on. You still feel the impact of gross racism, discrimination. Oh, yes. And it's not as if, you're coming to replace Yeboah. Yeboah is a giant of a player. He's a beast of a player. Let's use that word. And he set the bar here. Johnny, you're coming from school. How did you fit in?
Well, I think I have to say the trial gave me like a small window of what to expect. You know, playing for the Nigerian national team and playing in our league. In our league, for you, it's like when we tell people if you can drive in Lagos, you can drive anywhere in the world. The same thing. If you can survive in our league, then you can survive anywhere. Sure. You know, because you are well prepared. I was well prepared by Julius Berger. So going back there, the trial was, was nothing. I would say we will play the whole field against each other most times in Nigeria here.
Yeah.
But in Europe, then we'll play like just in a compact place. In a compact place where my weapon of shooting accuracy was very easy for me to score goals. The goalkeeper can just roll the ball for me. If there's nobody there, I hit the ball and the goalkeeper has no chance, even as skinny as I was then. So scoring goals was like, yes, let me just do it. I can actually do it. Then the coach was looking at something he could now develop into a machine, which they eventually did. Because I tell you what, after spending 3 months with FC Saarbrücken, I remember Julius Berger came to Germany. They came to come and play a friendly game with us. And within 20 minutes, I already had a hat trick in that game. And I was playing against people I used to play.
You used to fear him.
Yeah, exactly. And they were asking me, "Johnny, what do you do job for here?" I said, "No, not training."
I like that.
It's training. It's like that thing they tell you, practice makes perfect. And
true.
All those things, the way you train improves your game. I don't see us, even today, I don't see us training like that.
I'm still going to come back to how we train because I have a very, especially the current Super Eagles, I have very dislike for a lot of things that go on. So I played under a coach like Mondo Sinclair, for instance. As much as how you cross the ball on the byline, your cut back when you're in the 80-yard box, there were details to the training, the methodology to do it, how you put your leg, how you balance, free kick and all that. That's a conversation. But let's still stay with the Bundesliga. Strasbourg, and then you moved. Your next point of call was what's it called?
Kautza is here now. Jena was in the east.
Yes.
The wall just fell.
And the wall of Berlin
The wall
just fell.
Yes.
Those people are not really regarded. They were still treated. Why did you make the choice?
I don't
because
think,
West was civilization.
Yes.
East was like going into Siberia.
I don't think I can actually get a reason to say I made that choice. I think I was looking for a team that would actually give me a chance to express myself and to play, because Saarbrücken actually qualified for the first division. Yeah. We qualified, and the coach now decided that no, he wanted to go with another striker, which I said okay, as far as I can go to another team. So Jena was that team that provided that platform for me. You know, when players say, okay, they want more games.
Yes.
That's exactly what I wanted to do. And it turned out to be the best move for me, mostly because when I was leaving Saarbrücken, I couldn't really speak German very well.
Yeah.
And you were spoiled because you have a lot of people that will speak English in the team and they will translate. So I'll be like, I don't need to speak this people's language. Or JJ was also in the picture, you know. So we used to hang out a lot. Me, JJ, Binebi Numa. There were some other Nigerian players that came, Alabani Siasia, you know, all of us would just sit down after some games, with gist and all of those things. But going to Jena, I had to deal with a whole new game. In Jena, nobody could speak English. So it was either I learned Russian or German, because they were more closer to the Russians. So they could speak Russian or German. So I had to learn German by force, because in the dressing room, everybody will speak German. You know, going out in the game, everybody will speak German. So, you know, I think in like 3 months, I was already speaking German by force. Jena was fantastic. It's a small, I'll say, not necessarily a village, it's a small town, you know, hilly, but a fantastic place, you know, for family to live in. And today is one of those places now in Germany that's one of the best places in Germany, because it's now really, really developed. And you know, the East Germany we saw then is the best now in Germany, because all the German economy went into to develop East Germany.
Do you still go back and, you know, do you say have friends there?
Yes.
Go back and go hang out with some friends?
Oh yes. I even have to talk. We talk mostly on Facebook sometimes, and you know, when you go back to you know, when I went there, it was just, you know, like a stepping stone. I knew it was going to be a stepping stone, and but you say in life you take a lot of risks. That's one of the risks that I took to go to Jena. And today, when I go to Jena, I was one of the very few players that played for Jena and eventually established himself in the Bundesliga. Although we had Ben Schneider. Ben Schneider played also for the German national team.
Yeah.
We had, there's another player, I can't really remember his name now. He played also for the German national team. The 3 of us from that whole Jena community, you know, it's it's fantastic, you know, for me to be even part of it.
So let's come back to you leaving Jena and coming back again to
The West.
your next club in the west of Germany, where I mean, that was civilization, out of the village. At that time, Jena was a village. Now it's a city. But back then, you're coming back to the city again. There was a discussion. I heard there was a discussion. You didn't want to leave. You know, you were scoring goals. You were hot, and the club president said it's good for the club for the transfer, for them to be in the news that they are able to transfer players. Just give me the story. I'm not going to tell the story.
Well, I think leaving Jena, I went to Kickers, Stuttgarter Kickers. That's the blue side of Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Um, um, Playing in an East German club was not really, at that time, they did not rate it as the West Germans, because the West Germans were
more
already
technical, more
ahead.
exposed.
Yes. So I had to re-establish myself in the western part of Germany again, to say, okay, this is me, improved, not brand new, but improved. So Kickers gave me that platform. When I signed for Kickers were relegated to the 3rd division, and they really wanted to come back to the 2nd division, and they spent a whole lot of money to keep the players intact. They needed a striker. They needed a well-established striker. So, you know, they came, and I said, okay, I bought into the project, and I said, okay, we'll go up together. You know? So when the league started, we didn't start very well. I did not start very well. I think by December, when the Bundesliga would go on break, I had 10 goals. 10 goals for a normal striker was good enough, but for me then, it was not really good, because I was bought to actually lift that team. And we had Unterhaching. They were runaway leaders of the league. They were beating everybody. So when we came back after the winter break, we had a very, very good preseason. And from there, we just made up our mind that, look, we are going to chase these people. If we get promoted, it will be a big bonus, but we have nothing to lose. We are just going to chase them. We had this meeting as a team. So the league started, I think, mid-January. We missed out on promotion, I think maybe by 1 or 2 points. Or I ended up after the winter scoring 27 goals.
Wow.
Which would be altogether 37 in 32 games, you know, for that team. And we still didn't go.
Oh.
You know, we missed promotion. And
it was the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. So it was after that season, when that season ended, I was invited by the Super Eagles to play at the Gold Cup in America. There I played against Colombia and Mexico. Those 2 games. They played 3 games. The first game I didn't play. I played against Colombia and Mexico with Shaibu. Shaibu was in charge of that team that time. You know, so
November 94.
by the end of that season, scoring 37 goals was really big in Germany. Everybody was like, no, that playing in the 3rd division does not matter. You have to score that 37 goals first. It doesn't matter what division. So there was this discussion, and I picked Waldorf Mannheim. Waldorf Mannheim at that time were first on the table to qualify for the Bundesliga. And eventually, they did not qualify.
Oh, not again.
But I already I already signed for them. You know, fantastic team, fantastic city. Till today, when I go to Germany, I'm always in Mannheim. You know, so I had to play for Mannheim. You know, and unfortunately, the team did not really replicate what they did the past season. They had Uli Stiliker as their coach then. We started well, but the German second division is not one place that you will be guaranteed to play the same way you played in the last season. It's always very, very difficult. So the team itself could not really replicate what they did the past season, but I was consistent with the goals. So during the winter break, there was a window, and that window, there were so many teams that were looking for strikers, and I was really, really the target for so many teams, even VfB Stuttgart, Kaiserslautern, FC Kaiserslautern, Borussia Mönchengladbach. There were like 6 teams that were lining up to say, okay, look, this guy, we need to bring him into the Bundesliga because he scores goals. I was in Nigeria, I was on holiday, and I remember my manager called me and he said, Johnny, you have to come back to Germany. I said, why? He said, because there's so many interest and there's so many discussion around your name that you need to be back. We need to make decisions together. I said, okay. So I went back. So when I went back, we were discussing and I told him that, look, I want to play for Kaiserslautern.
Why did you choose Kaiserslautern? I always thought at that time you would go to VfB Stuttgart.
If you see the crowd in Betzenberg, that's the name of the Kaiserslautern. Betzenberg is like, it's unbelievable. The atmosphere when you're coming out to play as a footballer, that is where you want to be, in that region. So when I told my manager, I said, well, okay, he has noted it, but we have to talk to my team to see what plans they had for me. So we went into a meeting with them, and the first thing the president of the club said, Johnny, you can go anywhere in this world, but let's just get an agreement now that you cannot go to Kaiserslautern.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
no.
I was like, I wanted to talk, but my manager now said, no, I should just be quiet. I shouldn't say anything.
Why was he angry with you going to Kaiserslautern?
This is Mannheim, for example. It's not very far from Kaiserslautern, and it's always a local derby. So it's like,
oh, like Bayern and 1816 Munich.
That one is, yes, exactly. Just as Liverpool and Manchester United.
Oh, okay.
Or Everton. When this player plays for Everton, he can never play for Liverpool. That's exactly how it is. So he's like trying to explain, and my manager said, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But long run, I picked one of the youngest teams in the Bundesliga again at that time, which was the Hansa Rostock. And the same question you were asking me, people kept asking, come on, there are a lot of racist people there. Why are you going there? I even had this interview with CNN, and they were asking, there's a big riot, but why are you going to Hansa Rostock? I said, it's football. Football is not supposed to recognize racism, and that's exactly how it played out. Because the things I did at Hansa Rostock, it was everybody that enjoyed it. When you see all of those racist people, even when they blow their whistle and they do everything, the things you do as a player, remember, is being enjoyed by those people who actually come out to tell you that, you are not good enough. But they enjoy the product that you give to them.
Word. That's true. And when you look back at all this journey, is there a point where you say that Ajegule and Igbobi, as you said, helped, and then Julius Berger helped to form the man that was able to strive more like, there are some things I do and I'll be like, when I see people try to intimidate me, like when I got fired, like, some things happen. And I always say, on my own, I like, you don't know what you're doing. If I could survive my mother, if I could survive my stepdad, if I could survive growing up in Warri, during the JJ's 50th birthday celebration, I met the cousin to the Olo of Warri, and he's like, "I'm a Warri boy." He was trying to introduce himself, and I said, I grew up in Edukugu in Iyara, and then I moved to Morogo, SSA Road, and then Okpa Street behind the C College." And the guy said, even him that grew up in Warri cannot go to that place from 5 p.m. downward. He can't. Like they talk of the real Warri boy, I'm the real Warri boy. I said, listen. So I always tell people, if I could survive what I survived with, at the age of 6 years, I knew more about guns before I started knowing how to spell my name. So it kind of like created this man that I am. Like when you try to intimidate me, I'm like, if I survive those things, are you? So was there a part of you that you always say racism? I don't like
those things are, growing up in Ajegule is like already coming from Ajegule, you are an outcast already. So, somebody, I'll give you an example now. There was this game I played, Wolfsburg against Udigen in Udigen. I didn't start that game. I came in the second half of that game, and this defender was from Poland. The Polish, I understand. I wouldn't say they are more racist, but they show their racism very well.
Yeah.
The guy was at the forefront. He was in my face, actually trying to intimidate, telling me how my people are slaves and all of those things. And I would look at him and I would just smile. That smile was like,
you don't know anything. You don't know what's coming.
You never know what's in the come. The game went on, and it was a 1-0 game. I scored the goal. And just because he couldn't get a reaction from me, it was really biting him. And there was this clearance he was supposed to make. The ball was in front of him. I just stretched my leg to try to block the ball. So he hit the ball on my leg, and it just bounced off my leg straight into the net. 1-0. He kept on coming, and there was something he did. I think he pushed me in that game. I fell, and the referee gave him a red card. Okay. After the game, 1-0, I was coming out. He was standing. He already had his back, and I came out, and he shook my hand. He said, "Man, you are mentally so strong."
True.
And I was looking at him. I was laughing. He said, "Well, please, everything I did stays inside the field." I said, "Of course.
Yeah.
That everything stays inside the field. I understand all of it." Because if you come from Ajegule, the Yabis no be small.
They don't know.
So that Yabis don't make somebody very, very strong. You are really, really mentally strong that you can actually go against anything.
So let's go to life at Astor Rostock, there's Wolfsburg. Man, but there's always this thing I remember from your Wolfsburg days. The jersey was too big.
No, not just the Rostock days.
Wolfsburg.
Then the trend was the big baggy things.
You and Pius Ikedia, it's always in my head like, why the hell are they wearing parachutes?
No, but I tell you what, there was this picture on Twitter that somebody posted. I had the Nigerian jersey that was really big,
yeah.
Yes, and the guy was like, see waiting with the wear that time. Then I now said, okay. I now posted a picture where I took off the shirt. I said, okay, look at the engine that was inside that big shirt. And everybody was like, wow. That was, training at the highest in Germany, because like I told you, when I started, I was really skinny. So getting into Saarbrücken, there were two things I used to do after training every time. I didn't know how to head the ball at that time. Nobody taught me how to head the ball in Nigeria. So I would do 15 minutes of the pendulum before training. Then every Tuesdays, I would go to the gym. That's 45 minutes. They will draw a program, and you have to go through that program after training with the team. You know, so that you get those necessary muscles. The pendulum is that thing that you have not seen it in Nigeria.
No.
Yeah. You head the ball, it goes 1, 2, you jump again, you head the ball. It gives you the best of timing. There are some goals I scored with my head. I would get home and I would tell my wife, I don't know how I reached that place, but I reached there. I got there. You know, I'm the smallest, maybe the smallest person on the pitch, but I'll beat the tallest, you know, when we go for a ball, to head the ball.
Yeah, coaches always say that heading of the ball has nothing to do with height.
It's timing.
It's about your timing and your sprint.
The timing, exactly.
Yeah, the ability to lift yourself.
Yeah. And sometimes you use that person that is bigger than you to jump.
Your bar,
Exactly.